They dragged you into the dark thinking it would quiet you. Thought if they locked every door, smashed every mirror, and whispered enough lies, you'd forget who you were. They didn't want you gone, they wanted you erased. They wanted your voice dimmed, your fire drowned, your name unspoken. But the joke's on them, because the dark didn't kill you. It recruited you. While they slept easy thinking you'd break, you became something they could never predict, a shadow they now run from. You didn't adapt to the dark, you mastered it. You trained in silence, sharpened your instincts, and fed on the very fear they thought would paralyze you. You learned to move without being seen, to strike without being heard, to see through smiles and smell the fear behind fake power. You didn't come back to fit in. You came back changed. They see your eyes now and feel the chill of every moment they left you to drown. But you didn't drown, you evolved. You don't beg for light. You own the dark. And now it walks with you. You don't need to scream. Your presence alone whispers ruin. You don't need revenge. You became the reminder. A living, breathing memory that even when thrown into the void, you built a throne from bones and waited. Waited for the perfect moment to rise, not louder, but deadlier. They tried to bury you beneath the silence, but all they did was give you a place to build your legend. You're not back for justice. You're not back to explain. You're back to end chapters and start new rules. They called it a trap. You called it training. They called it the end. You called it the beginning. Because now when they check the corners, when they flinch at shadows, when they feel that cold breath behind their necks, it's not paranoia. It's you. You were the one they tried to forget. Now you're the one they can't escape. You became the silence that stalks their comfort. The question that keeps them awake. The pulse that quickens when nothing should be moving. You don't walk like someone seeking payback, you walk like someone who knows they already won. Because what's left to fear when you've already been buried alive in doubt, smothered in betrayal, and left to rot in their forgetfulness. They wanted you to vanish, but instead you became the myth. The story they tell each other with the lights on, pretending it's just a tale, but deep down, they know it's you. You don't wear the same face anymore. That version of you, the tame one, the trusting one, the quiet one, that person's gone. The dark took them and gave you back something better, something unbreakable. You see everything now with eyes that don't blink, with patience that doesn't rush, and with precision that doesn't miss. You don't chase, you wait, because they always come back to the place they thought they owned. And when they do, you're there not to scream, not to cry, but to collect. You learned how to use silence as a weapon, how to turn absence into presence, how to haunt without ever needing to speak. They don't need to see you to feel you anymore. Your name is stitched into their guilt, your face branded into every lie they built to feel safe. And every time they try to move forward without looking back, the dark reminds them, you're watching. You never left. You're the part of their story that follows. So let them keep the light. Let them hide in crowds and surround themselves with noise. It won't save them, because you didn't come back to be seen. You came back to be felt. And now you're not just a shadow they're starting to realize. You're the consequence it casts. They thought they buried a mistake, but they accidentally planted a force. And now that force walks the earth cloaked in calm, armed with memory, and backed by the weight of everything they tried to destroy. You don't need to announce yourself. You are the aftermath. You're the echo in every quiet room, the chill behind every smile, the shift in the air when confidence turns to fear. You're not chasing justice, you're becoming gravity. Everything they did is starting to fall back on them, one by one, with your name etched in the collapse. They trained you without meaning to. Every betrayal carved your focus. Every lie they told sharpened your timing. Every door slammed in your face only strengthened the steps you took in silence. They tried to call you weak, call you crazy, call you gone. But the only thing gone now is their safety. Because when they look over their shoulder, they know something's there. Something smarter, quieter, relentless. Not just surviving, but studying. Not just returning, but calculating. You don't scream for attention, you don't ask for validation. You move like someone who already knows they outgrew the battlefield. You've seen too much to be fooled again. You've suffered too deeply to ever return to softness. And you've mastered one truth: they never will. That power doesn't always announce itself with noise. Sometimes it whispers, sometimes it watches, and sometimes it waits in the dark, sharpening its blade, wearing the face of the one they thought they broke. You're not their enemy, you're their reality check. And it's too late to unchain what they tried to bury. Because you're not just back, you're everywhere. In their doubt, in their silence, in the cracks of every lie they built to protect themselves. They tried to chain you in the dark, but all they did was make you the shadow that hunts them now. Now, every step you take is a quiet reckoning. Not loud, not chaotic, surgical. You don't need explosions when you are the collapse. You don't need to raise your voice when your presence makes the walls sweat. They created a ghost, thinking it would fade. But you didn't vanish, you evolved. You studied their weakness while they slept in their false security. You memorized the maps they drew with arrogance. And now you walk those same paths with purpose they'll never understand. They told themselves you'd never come back. They convinced each other the dark had swallowed you whole. But what really happened? You became one with it. You didn't escape the shadows, you merged with them. You walk through walls they thought were solid. You hear whispers before they form. You feel fear before it reaches their skin. You are 10 steps ahead because you had to be. They made survival your religion. Now you're the prophet of payback dressed in silence. And here's the truth they can't swallow: your revenge isn't loud, isn't messy. It's elegant. It's a grin in the moment they realize they underestimated you. It's the stillness before their carefully built image shatters. You don't scream, "I told you so." You watch as everything they thought was untouchable starts to decay. Because karma didn't come knocking. You did, wearing everything they feared you'd become and holding everything they swore you'd never reclaim. They tried to chain you in the dark, but all they did was forge a shadow that doesn't run, doesn't hide, and doesn't forgive. And now, every time they look into the darkness, you look back. You look back with the calm of someone who no longer needs to prove anything. You already proved it the day you didn't die, the moment you stood up from the wreckage with nothing left but your breath and your will, and somehow, that was enough. They thought you needed noise to be powerful, but now they're learning the truth: the deadliest ones are quiet. The ones who vanished without a sound, only to return with eyes that don't blink and footsteps that don't echo. You didn't crawl out of the dark, you rose, taller, colder, and carrying every scar like scripture. They can't undo what they did, and that's the part that eats them alive. They lit the match. You became the wildfire. They shut the door. You learned how to walk through walls. You don't come knocking. You don't explain. You don't chase justice because you are the justice, the kind that doesn't need approval or permission. You come when the time is right, and they feel it. Not just in the room, not just in the mirror, but in their spine. You became a rhythm their soul can't shake off. And now, you are not a comeback story. You are a new rule, a presence that shifts everything when you enter. You don't carry revenge like anger, you wear it like precision. It's measured, controlled, beautifully inevitable. They tried to chain you in the dark, but all they did was raise a being who doesn't run from fear, but walks straight into it and dares it to move. You became the lesson they'll never teach, but always remember. Because when the lights go out and the air turns cold, and the silence starts to stretch just a little too long, they finally understand. You never needed the light. You became the dark. Like, comment, and subscribe.